Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, ladies. Enimo Animado and Yasmin Al Hassan.
Good morning,
Thank
Daniel.
you.
And happy holiday.
Thank you.
Well, we're at work, so I know about that. But exciting stuff happening this weekend.
It's not work if you love it, is it?
Yeah. Okay. So Habitat Fair.
Habitat Fair is
Yasmin
starting
and I
today.
will be going there to check out all the fine dudes who will be
definitely.
looking for houses and mortgages and stuff.
So to those who are asking if the houses come with wives, yeah.
Probably do.
And then also, I mean, Babes is fighting tomorrow, so you know, kind of.
And who is this Babes character we are speaking? Oh, Anthony Joshua. Good morning, Anthony Joshua. A part of me hopes you're pummeled, but I don't know why.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh, but
to
he'll
Babes.
win. He'll win. He's
of
doing
course
well.
he'll win. Of
Yeah,
course.
Daniel,
he's a great
jealous much?
boxer. But this is not about jealousy. This is about concern for the focus of a work colleague. I don't know if I'm making sense right now.
No, you're not. But the Habitat Fair is open from 8 a.m. this morning.
In
till
an hour,
8 p.m.
25 minutes
Yes.
from now.
And Daniel, you'll be there this evening.
I will definitely be there. I'll be there today.
Okay.
Today, but I'll be on it this evening at 7 p.m.
So to all the Daniel Dazi fans, he'll be there without his bodyguards, so you'll have access.
I don't have bodyguards in the first place.
Well,
And
please.
shaders between Raymond, Malik, and I were constantly throwing shade at you, so we won't be there, so
I
you'll
will.
be fine. Oh, okay. Well, I'm
Okay.
handing over to Yasmin.
we'll police you.
Okay, guys, let's do the front pages. And the newspapers are on holiday. So we
saw
have about three newspapers and a
Three.
number of websites. Before we do anything, though, speaking of holidays, today is Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day. And so let's take a listen to this man who, has filled the space, the independence, the Pan-African, the post-colonial phase of Africa. With such life for the past 60 or so years. Well, beyond that, I should say. This is him speaking at the Freed Fighters Confab in Accra.
Africa is rich and not poor. As the great wealth that has been taken out of our continent over 5 centuries of spoliation and extortion, very well proved. Africa has immense actual and potential wealth: gold, diamond, copper, manganese, bauxite, iron ore, uranium, asbestos, chrome, cobalt, a host of other minerals. Our essential agricultural produce have all been drained away by colonialist imperialism. Africa is far from being poor. It is Africans who are poor, not Africa. And they are poor because of the uncounted profit that has been made out of the exploitation of their labor and their lands. If we are being baited to enter a European community, we must have something that community needs, and needs badly, when it pretends to offer a bonus by way of aid. When Greeks come bearing grapes, should we not look them well in the mouth? If I may mix my metaphor, but I'm sure you get my meaning. I raise this point so that it will stay in your minds when you may be tempted by the seductive promises of new colonialism to forget the real character of colonialist imperialism and be persuaded away from your own true interests and those of Africa. For today, we must each see ourselves as part of Africa.
And that was Osaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He was speaking at the Freedom Fighters Confab in Accra back in the day. A really, really thought-provoking words that he puts there, and we must definitely endeavor to live by them, allow it to influence us. And really today we are talking about the legacy of Kwame Nkrumah, and that is how come we are having friends from the Ghana Think Foundation, people taking part in the National Volunteers Day program, and we will continue that conversation about what his legacy means for young people in the 21st century. Speaking of birthdays, because today is the birthday of Osaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, today is a special birthday, and I have to say this. First of all, to our very own Ishmael Ba, you know him as DJ Wobete.
Yeah.
DJ Wobete is with us on the Super Morning Show. And happy birthday to him.
Yeah,
and also,
happy birthday.
Also to a special person in my life, my first love, my still reigning undisputed first lady, the bona fide woman in my life. Yes, you can take that to the bank. She has the same surname as me, so it's legal. Her name is Rebecca Daze. She is my mother. And happy birthday to you, mommy. Mommy, a big woman. Mommy, a big woman, and this is for you. Happy birthday. If I have done anything with my life, you know very well that I owe a lot of it to you. If I've done anything at all has been achieved, I owe a lot of that to you. You're an amazing woman, and I love you. Happy birthday, Mom.
And from the rest of the team, happy birthday from us. Thank you for
Mommy
giving
Dazi.
us Daniel.
She's not responsible for the worrying I worry you.
No, we know she's responsible for the rare
Good side, right?
the rare good.
It's okay.
Rare good stuff. But yeah, thank you for giving us Daniel. So
All right.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I wish I could say how old she is, because if you saw her picture, you'd be shocked. But let me leave that. Let's get to the Daily Graphic before I get in trouble. Yasmin.
On the front page of the Daily Graphic today, youth across the globe attend Pan-Africanism Confab in Winnipeg, and that's on page 22 of the Daily Graphic. Cocoa Board gets $1.3 billion. 21 banks financed 2018-2019 cocoa purchase, and it's with a picture of Mr. Joseph Boahin Edu, the CEO of Cocoa Board, signing the agreement on behalf of Cocoa Board. Those with him are Mr. Papa Uswankoma and Nana Ajwa Dokwa, the board member of Cocoa Board. We also have on the front page, government orders busts $44 million lost to states. Accra courts places injunction on demolition exercise in Agbogboshi, and that's on the back page of Daily Graphic.
Okay, so from my one newspaper, the Daily Guide, Nana storms NPP office for new officers. 23 robbers grabbed at Afram Plains. 21 banks mobilized $1.3 billion for Cocoa Board. And Mahama girl in trouble over 3.1 million Ghana cedi Maslok cash. And that's Sedinam Tamaklo at Shunu. And
So that's it for
the Daily Guide.
The Daily Guide.
Yeah.
On the Ghanaian Times newspaper today, we have 11 power purchase agreements to go. And that's with a picture of Mr. John Peter Amewu, Minister of Energy. And that's on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times. Nkokro police grabbed 23 suspected robbers. And with their weapons, their pictures of guns on the front page. On page 3, Cocoa Board secures $1.3 billion loan for purchase of cocoa for the 2018-2019 season. Immigration Service rounds up 82 prostitutes in Medina on page 13.
Okay, that's it for the headlines, Daniel.
Okay, guys, thanks for bringing us the headlines. Let's dive into our first story, shall we?
Okay, so I'm going to go with this one about the court sentencing a businessman to 25 years for defilement. I remember yesterday we talked about the fact that another man who had sentenced 9-year-old girl in Kaswa had gotten 3 years. And the difference between that case and this case is that he was charged for indecent assault because there was no actual penetration. But this guy has been sentenced to 25 years for a joint case of defilement and incest. So he's facing the full rigors of the law. This happened in Nima. So the the little girl lives with her mom at Mamobi, and this guy is actually her stepbrother. So on the particular day, he came to the house and said, he wanted to spend some time with his little sister. His mom obliged, and she went home with him. She came back a few hours later. She was dropped off by two men on a motorcycle, and she said she needed to pee. So her mom took her to the bathroom, took off her underwear, and saw that there was blood and something like human flesh coming out of her vagina. Really terrible story. She said that when she got to her stepbrother's house, he gave her rice, and then she fell asleep. And when she woke up, that was when she was abused by this guy. This guy has jumped bail, though. Even though he has been sentenced, he jumped bail, and therefore he was absent. So we're on the lookout for Muntala Mohammed Bin Lad, who is a businessman. He's 31 years old. If you have any information about his whereabouts, please do let the police know so that he can be taken into custody. The family was given 5,000 cedis as well as compensation on top of the 25 years that Bin Lad will be serving. And that's it for this story.
And a very gory story, I must say. My mind keeps going back to that. Okay, let me not remind.
Yes, but you see, Daniel, the thing is, that was my point. The thing is how this guy gets 25 years, and the other guy, what's his name, gets 3 years for almost the same crime.
That's why when we were speaking to Denise Jomo, he said that we must begin to look at our laws again and must begin to think about because like I said, in the UNCRC, it's sexual abuse and sexual molestation of any kind.
Of any kind,
exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't put that specific definition of it, so that if there's no penal penetration, then you say that it can't count as defilement.
And the other thing that raised a sentence was the fact that this is incest, because he's a brother.
Yes, he's a brother.
So it's a terrible story.
And I'm just thinking about the victim and how she's going to be helped to go through the situation, overcome the stigma, and then grow up to live a full life in spite of what has happened to her.
Which brings us back to the Victim Support Fund that Dennis was talking about yesterday. And how important it is for us to have that so that we can do follow-up on the victims as well.
Exactly.
So prosecution is not enough. The follow-up is just as important.
It's just as important. Okay. Yasmin, take us into the medical field, shall we?
So Ghana Health Service to entice doctors to the north. Dr. Yao Yeboah of the Governing Council of the Ghana Health Service says that they're going to entice doctors who are posted to the 3 northern regions of Ghana by giving them packages. He didn't say what exactly those packages would entail, but they'll give them some sort of incentive to stay in the north and practice in the north, so that even though they're going to quote deprived areas, they're going to get the full benefits as their colleagues in the south. And he said this,
and even more, hopefully. He said that hospitals in the south seem to have all the benefits, but they were not living up to the standard. And some of the health services in the north were doing way better than those in the north. Like one of them was the Bongo Health Center. They haven't recorded any maternal deaths this year. And the entire year, and we're in the 9th month. That's very impressive.
That's great. And he said that there was something that could be used as a case study for all hospitals across the 3 northern regions and as well as the south.
Okay.
I think
it's important that we look at what kind of models. Remember when we were doing the health story, we went to the Volta region and we found another 2 districts. I don't want to get the names wrong. They are not coming immediately, but then we found another 2 districts where no death had been recorded as of the time that we had gone there in the entire year.
Yes.
And it's very, very refreshing to find that people are able to apply those systems that, in the end translate into quality healthcare delivery, because that is what people are looking for, that you can go to the hospital, give birth and come home. So that translates then to quality healthcare delivery by the result.
And it's also important to note that the northern region contributes 40% of the poverty numbers in Ghana. So 40% of the poorest people in Ghana are in the northern region.
In the northern part of Ghana or the northern region?
The 3 northern regions contribute 40%. So yes, it's important that doctors are given some sort of incentive to go there, because obviously the standard of living is not as high as it would be in
Accra. What has happened to the Northern Development Fund? law was signed at the beginning of the year by the president. Remember, when we were supposed to have three different authorities: the northern, the savannah, and then the coastal development. So the middle belt. Savannah was the NDC government's plan, SADA, but the Middle Belt Authority and then the Coastal Development Authority, all with correspondence funds, so that we can see a bridging of the gap between the quality of infrastructure and the quality of living in the northern part of Ghana and the southern part of Ghana. Because in the end, that is it. If we have equality or shared prosperity, let me quote from the NPP's manifesto caption. Yes, it was creating equal opportunities and shared prosperity for all. Yeah, if you have that, that is when we can say that a doctor can go somewhere, he doesn't need any incentive.
Well,
so the Northern Development Fund is very...
we should also not limit it to doctors. We should also give teachers incentives as well.
Yes, that's actually very, very important. Anyway, let me come back to you then.
Okay, so Ghana has improved her ranking in the Global Peace Index, and apparently, well, we've been doing very well. The 2018 Global Peace Index is out, and we have made significant gains of 6 points. So we're 41st in the world, the 41st most peaceful country, and we're 5th in sub-Saharan Africa after Mauritius, Botswana, Sierra Leone, and Madagascar. The National Peace Council, the chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, has been speaking, and he says that even though it's good news and it's exciting, it's important that we watch certain things which have the propensity to then turn into violence, chieftaincy, and land issues. For example, the Dagbon situation, the Alavanyo and Nkonya conflict, and also the vigilante groups, which have been in the newspapers a lot over the past few weeks. He says, and I quote, "Crime must be dealt with as crimes in the framework of the rule of law without consideration for political party affiliations, ethnicity, or gender." So as much as we're excited about this, we need to be careful. A friend of mine says that Ghanaians, we love our peace too much because we like food. I mean, you don't want to be in a country where you can't get your watching and your things and you're killing. No. So that alone sometimes keeps. But we also know that, I mean, it's a thin line between.
Of course.
So
of course. And it's an active effort. It's a deliberate effort to keep peace. We can't just assume that Ghanaians are peace-loving people.
Yes.
From peace, let's move to inequality, Yasmin.
So on page 19 of the Ghanaian Times, Ghana committed to eliminating inequality. And that's with a picture of Mr. Redu. He's the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. And he said this at a symposium on the International Decade of People of African Descent in Africa. He says, to him, the struggle for African liberation will not be completed if we do not work to eliminate racial discrimination, racism, and xenophobia that continue to manifest themselves in inequality and disadvantage our people. Well,
so it's quite a bit. You know, this issue of inequality is global, really.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just Ghana, but it's important that since we're a developing country, we have the opportunity, because a lot of these developed countries rode on the back of industries and large corporations that's built a big part of their economy. Yeah, so we have the opportunity to build businessmen who are, I don't want to use the term responsible, but who are able to share the wealth, distribute the wealth well.
Yes.
So that,
but fundamentally, for me, when you talk about inequality, you're also talking about education, because if we can socialize our children from a younger age, then we can, deal with the issue.
It doesn't just end at I mean,
I didn't say it ended. I said for me it begins.
Yes, because you see, when you finish education, you can argue experience. A national service personnel earns how much? The CEO of a company earns how much? How many national service persons can a CEO pay from his monthly salary, from his allowance? And that is what really comes when it comes to inequality. When you enter a company, the people you see who are usually a lot are usually paid very little, and then you come to the higher you rise up the tier, the few people up there are paid a lot. And this is corporate.
Okay, so
this
you're
is corporate
this
world.
is one aspect of inequality. I mean, there are other aspects of inequality,
like racism,
racism, sexism, and stuff like that.
Well, I think
those
that story focuses more on
racism.
This story focuses more on money.
It focuses more on racism.
On racism in Ghana.
Not necessarily in the diaspora and across the globe.
Oh, okay.
So basically, how people of African descent are treated all over the world. How we're treated in America, how we're treated in our fellow African countries, and
Even.
yeah,
Forgive me for making it a money thing.
Yes, we
well,
forgive
it's
you.
part
It's
of
all
it,
right.
but yeah.
It's part of it though. I understand. Okay. Let's move online. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest, Goyle Good Energy. Download the Safe Doctor app now for the Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, you've got great love for your vehicle. You want the engine to last longer and perform to its maximum. It's okay. Goyle has a new super synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubricants for you. These specially engineered superior engine oils work efficiently on all modern petrol and diesel engines. They clean, protect, reduce fuel consumption, prolong oil change intervals, and enhance engine performance from startup till you switch off. Go to any Goyle filling station and grab the new Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Engineering innovation for your vehicle has arrived. Goyle Good Energy. Now, Zenith Bank is 13 years in Ghana. It's been 13 years of serving you with pleasure and making history with you. On behalf of the board, management, and staff, Zenith Bank wishes to thank you, our valued customer, for your continued support and loyalty over the years. Because you trusted us with your business, Zenith Bank is bigger, faster, and stronger. We invite you to join us for our 13th anniversary health walk on Saturday, September 29, 2018. The venue will be Zenith Bank head office on the Independence Avenue at 6 a.m. prompt. Come, let's walk and celebrate. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. MyJoyOnline.com says Auditor General doubts Special Prosecutor's capacity to deliver. That is a quote from yesterday's Kojo Barredu Memorial Lecture, which was delivered by Daniel Domelevo, Auditor General. You want to go on My Joy Online and read the details. AdomOnline.com says 2016 elections, 1 million votes against NDC is not real. This is from the National Women's Organizer of the NDC and BBC.com. I think that's an excerpt from the interview she had with Osei Bonsu on Ekosi saying yesterday. Yes, it is. BBC.com says Lake Victoria, Tanzania, dozens drown in ferry capsize. Very, very unfortunate story there. Almost time for us to go anymore. There's a story that you are very, very anxious to tell us about.
Well, two stories, but I'm going to do it one. So the first place, CAF has cleared Ghana to host the Women's Nations Cup, which we're very, 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 very excited about. So yay. And secondly, did you know that there's apparent growing evidence that crustaceans feel pain? Doesn't mean that when you kill a cockroach it feels it. I hope not. Anyway, but somewhere in Maine, there's evidence to suggest that when you boil a lobster, it feels pain, and so therefore they're giving them marijuana before they boil them. But the marijuana doesn't affect the taste of the lobster, and you will not get high eating it. But apparently, it makes the meat better. So I'm not joining the Alliance for Legalization of Marijuana in Ghana, but I'm just saying that, if it makes a lobster's life easier,
Could make us life better.
She hasn't said anything, please.
No.
Nimado has not said that we should
fair.
legalize marijuana.
No.
She did not say it on the Super Morning Show.
no, she didn't.
But all I have to say is that if they want to really get marijuana out of the lobster, it has to be a very, very high temperature. It's time for the BBC News at 7.
Life before Interplast in Green Irrigation